Karen,
Yes.
I am so excited today. I feel like a little kid in the candy store.
I'm a little freaked out.
Are you freaked out?
I am.
Oh, don't be freaked out. This will be fun.
All right.
But I mean, today we're going to be taking a more cosmic approach to the show.
Mm-hmm.
Our guest is an astrophotographer who, during the COVID times, started getting visited by UFOs.
Hence the freak out.
Hence the freak out. Right. Now, apparently she has tons and tons of evidence that UFOs are real from her photographs.
Even more freaked out.
And now she knows exactly what the ETs look like and, most importantly, how to make contact with them. She's even become a channel for the messages that these star beings are sending us, and they've taught her tons about the truth behind the universe, spirituality, how to develop psychic gifts, and what it truly means to be human.
Okay, that doesn't sound so bad.
It doesn't, right?
No, it's way better than the movies.
As long as you stay away from the communion type of aliens, I think we'll be good. My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
so we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something
Anything.
that will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Welcome to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And today's topic is so exciting for me, not just because I'm a huge sci-fi fan, but because the theory of UFOs absolutely fascinates me. Let me tell you a quick story before we get started. Did you know that my father has seen a UFO?
Nope.
Yeah. So a long time ago, probably before I was born, he actually swears that he and a whole lot of people were privy in Cuba to this big UFO, and he can explain it, he can describe it specifically, and ever since then he's instilled a real huge curiosity in me about UFOs.
That explains so much, because I never would have pegged him as a UFO type, but he was so interested in it. I never knew why.
Now you know why. That's he watches all the documentaries. He's constantly talking about it. He took us in Puerto Rico to El Yunque, which is reportedly where aliens have dropped off their beings or whatever. So there's a lot behind this, and I'm excited because we have someone on the show today that is an expert about all this stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce her because I have so many questions. I am excited to bring onto the show Lily Nova. Lily, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So UFOs are real, huh?
Yes, very, very much so. Very much so.
In the intro, I said that you were taking photographs of the stars, and was it just like you started seeing shooting stars across your lens, or what happened exactly?
So it was much more obvious than that, my first encounters. And so I started off doing astrophotography. And, we're in the middle of lockdown. There's nothing to do. Everybody's, stuck inside. So I went out to the stars and spent like every night under the stars doing astrophotography. And I wasn't even thinking about UFOs, honestly. That was the last thing on my mind. But a few months in to astrophotography, it was a random night. I went outside to get some fresh air before bed late at night. And that's when I had my first encounter. I saw a hovering light somewhere over the neighborhood, and I was investigating it. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't anything like I'd ever seen before. It wasn't a star or planet. And I looked away briefly because this orange light appeared at the end of my street, and it got really eerie. And, it was dead quiet in the middle of the night. I looked back over, and a second craft had appeared, and it was much closer to me, maybe like a few houses down, and it was large, like a diamond triangular shape. I could see the lights on it, and I was bending my neck looking up at it, and it went up, down, side to side really quickly, and then it began coming straight to me, like literally right to me, and it went above my head and disappeared. And that's when I realized, okay, this is I think that was real. It really blew my mind. And after that, they just started coming like left and right.
So when it's coming at you, did you just stand there, or did you run? Like, what? Were you frozen?
We just heard how Karen would have reacted.
All of the above. And then I probably would have peed.
Yeah, it was very scary with the second one because it was so close and I got to see it, like all the details of it. And I remember at first I wanted to capture it on camera. I had my phone recording, but I ended up putting my phone down because I was like, okay, this is coming straight for me. I took a few steps back and to hide underneath my roof and I was shaking. And then after that, I was really freaked out because I'm like, okay, it disappeared above my house. Where did it go? Is it still here? Are they watching me? It was very freaky at first, the first few times.
Yeah. I
Oh my
can only
gosh.
imagine.
Did you sleep after that? I think I wouldn't have slept for like a week.
Yeah, no, sleeping was difficult for sure. I went inside and then I didn't feel like safe inside because I thought they were like outside of my window. So I went on a drive for a little bit and yeah, I didn't get much sleep that night.
Wow.
That you automatically immediately went to, this is a UFO, this is an extraterrestrial craft, or did you think at all, is this like the military, or is this a weather balloon or anything, or did you have no doubts whatsoever right off the bat?
I pretty much knew that it was a UFO, but of course I did want to rule everything else out. And, I told some other people about it. And so I was like, maybe I was, imagining it or making it more dramatic than it really was. I found the recording on my phone a couple weeks later and saw, you can't really see the craft because it's so dark, but you can see the light and it makes the same maneuvers that, that I saw. And I was like, okay, that actually happened. But then my next few encounters after that, it was very obvious that it was not anything of this world. They behave very differently and they just look very different than anything that we have.
People that have listened to the show before know about my experience with the book Communion and how unbelievably scared I was when I read it in college. For 2 weeks, I had to sleep with the light on because
it was freaky. I read that book too. My mother took it away from me because I had the lights on in high school.
I wanted to use a little bit more scientific term than freaky, but yes, you're right. It was incredibly freaky to have an ET in the guy's bedroom, peeking around the corner of the dresser, and only to realize he was awake and then rush directly to him. That would have given me a heart attack. So when I started looking into your story, everything I'm reading is a complete opposite. There's no fear. In fact, just the opposite. They've taught you an awful lot about who we are and where we're headed. Do you consider yourself an abductee? Did they take you into their ship?
Yeah, I don't believe that I've ever been abducted and I never really, I was definitely spooked in the beginning. It's a very like mind-bending, paradigm-shifting thing, but I feel like it was pretty gradual. They gave me a little bit of time to, soak that in, and I became like a hardcore investigator. My curiosity overruled any fear. I just felt like this is big and I want to learn more. So I literally became an investigator. And as I began meditating, which is at first it was very physical, I was capturing physical proof and learning how to kind of communicate with them. I wasn't sure if I was communicating correctly, but I would feel like I was getting messages and I would talk out to them and then they would, move around or appear as if answering my questions. But as I began meditating, that's when I began actually seeing them through visions. Well, the first time was they sent me a telepathic vision of the beings who were manning this craft during a UFO encounter. And yeah, it's been very positive for me.
So we've got to backtrack just a little bit. Sorry, Karen, to interrupt you for a quick second, because you keep talking about collecting evidence. What kind of evidence do you have?
So since I had my camera with me, I was just recording them. Whenever I would see them, I would record them. I've got some video. This is actually from my second encounter that happened a couple months after that first one I saw outside of my house. I spent the night at an astronomy park surrounded by UFOs. Yeah.
What? So daytime, nighttime, it's surrounded like hundreds or five?
5. There was 5. There was
Wow,
one in
five.
yeah. Yeah, there was one in every direction. And at first, so I went up to this astronomy park by myself.
At night.
And yep, at night. It was in the middle of the night around the same time.
Brave soul.
So brave. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I was in my car and just suddenly, like I looked over and there was another hovering light going back and forth. I was watching it on the horizon above the tree line, going up and down. It was kind of moving like a bee, just going back and forth. And then I was like, is that them again? And then, I'm looking around. Suddenly, like the energy just shifted. And I looked around. There were two in the trees behind me. There was one in the tree line to my left, one to my right, and then another one had appeared in the trees about 50 feet in front of me, which was not there 5 minutes ago. Like they just appeared. And I was honestly too afraid to leave because they were surrounding me. And so I stayed in my car and I just started recording them. And I recorded them for hours until the sun began coming up. Then I felt comfortable to leave.
Okay, so then the next question that jumps to mind then, because they beamed telepathically an image of what these beings look like, I'm sure everyone that's tuning in wants to know, what do they look like?
Yeah, and this happened like a little bit later as I'm developing. I learned that I could, initiate contact with them and became more intentional about it. That was actually the first time that I tested it out, where it's not just I was out under the stars and they appeared. It was I went out with the specific intention to invite them, and a golden orb appeared within 5 minutes of getting out of the car. And this golden orb sent me a vision of its inhabitants, or the ones who were manning it, and what this being looked like. So there was a woman laying down on a table, and she looked very human, but she had light blue skin and she had no hair. She was bald. She was very beautiful though. And she had a silver skin tight uniform on, kind of like Star Trekky. And there were 5 crew members standing behind her with the same uniform, also light blue skin. So that was the first one that I saw. And I've seen a variety of different types of beings, but a lot of them look very human, surprisingly.
So she was laying down on something. Did it look like she was alive, in distress? That's just how she traveled. Like, how did you interpret that?
Yeah, so at first I was a little confused because she had her eyes closed as well. And I was like, is she dead? Is she alive? Is she sleeping? And as I learned more, I believe that she was maybe in some sort of like a meditative state to make contact with me, and was using her consciousness to visit me with this golden orb. I think she was connecting with me on that level.
Why do you think they chose you to connect with? Do you think it was just a coincidence? They happened to be, poking around that night and there you were and you weren't afraid? Or do you think there's something beyond that?
Well, since the first time I saw them, they haven't left me alone. So I think it's it's very intentional. I believe that, they kind of singled me out because I had the camera and I was documenting. I was very unbiased. I was not into UFOs before this. I wasn't spiritual before this. And I was very curious about the science behind it and how it worked. How are they appearing and disappearing in the matter of seconds? Are they going into another dimension? I was just very curious. And so I, began documenting that with my camera. And then as time went on, I began to connect with them more on a spiritual level. So I think they chose me to show the world some of the evidence that I've caught, and, help turn some of the non-believers, help to open their mind, and also to teach people how to make contact with them and kind of the beauty of contact, the positive side of it.
When you say that, they kind of appeared in the trees, do you think that maybe they're always there, but most of us just can't see them? Or did they just come? Like, what's your interpretation of that?
That's a good question. I believe that they're not too far away. Yeah, I think, and it is interesting because I think it has to do a lot with the frequency and who they want to see them. It seems like people who see them, it's very intentional. If they don't want to be seen, they're not going to be seen, because that has to do with the interdimensional travel. So they're very intentional about who sees them. And I think that most of them are pretty nearby. Some of them may be coming from far. but with their type of travel connected with different dimensions and consciousness, it seems like they can travel very, very quickly.
Now, you've used the term interdimensional now a couple of times. Is this where you think they come from? Most people consider UFOs to come from outer space. What are your thoughts? Are they from outer space? Are they from another dimension? Are they a different time from us? What's your theory on it?
I believe that it's a mixture of both. I think that some of them are from higher dimensions and other dimensions, and some of them are probably right outside of Earth right now, and we could connect with them. The interdimensional thing, I'm still learning about it, but they definitely have mastered the dimensions, is what it feels like to me.
So you described the ones in the golden orb, but then you said you've contacted or been in contact with other beings, and most of them look human, but some of them look different. So on that note, but a little different, are they mostly nice? Like, are there some bad ones that we have to worry about?
So I have only connected with and engaged with positive beings. They are very intelligent, advanced, very just balanced, very positive energy, and for a while there, after the initial fear kind of wore off in shock, as I began, getting used to seeing them, I felt love, a very strong feeling of love whenever I saw them and would connect with them, like to the point of where I would cry sometimes. It's a very healing and loving feeling. Yeah, it's very, very beautiful. But I do know, and I've heard stories from other people, that there are some negative ones out there with different agendas. And I have seen visions of a couple ones like that. I haven't communicated with them or, seen them or talked to them, but I have seen some of the negative ones as well.
Now, you hear about people that come into contact with ETs or UFOs and they share their story and then they are shunned by civilization, by society. Have you experienced anything like that, or have your friends, your family, do they think you've lost your rock, or are they all on board?
Oh, definitely. It was a tough battle in the beginning, especially in the beginning, but I felt so strongly about it. My friends and family, they didn't believe me at first,
But they believe you now?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
and is it because they've experienced it themselves as well, or is it just that they've come around to your side of the story?
I think a combination, mostly because so I stuck with it and I made that my number one priority, and capturing evidence and to prove that. And from the start, I began posting it on social media, screaming it from the top of every mountain, because I'm like, this changes everything. There's actually beings out there who are, communicating with us. People need to know that. So I began posting it on social media and screaming it from the top of every mountain. I have received a lot of hate from it, but I stuck with it. It's been almost 2 years now, and people are coming around. So
Why are they here? Like, what is their agenda?
Now we get to the nitty.
What do they want?
from what I have experienced, they have really taught me, they've shown me different times, different time periods on Earth through telepathic visions and during meditation. They've been here for a long time. And from my understanding, right now we're going through a very pivotal shift in consciousness,
Mhm.
in just everything, with all the chaos going around. All of these old systems, they aren't working anymore. We need a new medical system, we need a new school system, we need a new government system, we need new everything, because it's just not working. And so it's like everything kind of negative and everything that's not working is coming to the surface right now, especially with COVID going on and everything.
Mhm.
And so it seems like we're at a very pivotal point where things are about to change drastically, and they can teach us how to, connect with our inner selves, if you want to get a little spiritual with it, but connect with our inner selves. And we have all of these different gifts and abilities that are just kind of locked away inside of us. We're very, very powerful. And So that's what they've been teaching me, developing different gifts, raising the consciousness, and they can also not only help us with unleashing our full potential, but also, advancements in technology and just living on a green earth, getting rid of all the pollution, just so much.
And you've actually developed psychic gifts through your communications with them.
Yeah, definitely. And that seems to be a thing. People have profound experiences after coming in contact with UFOs. And it can turn your psychic abilities online. And after they began visiting me, my intuition grew stronger and I was beginning to learn how to kind of telepathically communicate with them. And then I began receiving visions. I'd never received visions before. So that just tripped me out. And it was really exciting because I'm like, whoa, I'm seeing like 200,000 years ago through this vision. And I'm seeing these beings through these visions. So yeah, I developed, and they also taught me about like energy healing and stuff like that. So yes, everybody has these gifts. Some are more, prone to one or the other. That could be clairvoyance with seeing visions, or clairaudient, where you're able to hear things in different types. So one person may be a little more, better at one specific one, but this is something that we all have access to and we can all develop.
I know they talked to you about the consciousness shift that we're experiencing now and things like that, but you say that you know what it's like to truly be human. What does that mean? Why are we here?
I believe that, like I said, the ETs have been here for a long time. And I believe that is actually the missing link. We have shared DNA with some of these ETs. And, the missing link, like Darwin's evolution, you've got the monkeys, and then, there's a missing link, and then you got us. And that's what I found, especially with so many of these ETs looking very, very human. Yeah, so we have DNA connected with them, and they've taught me that how powerful we are and how we can activate this DNA. Scientists say that 95 to 98% of our DNA is junk DNA. It doesn't appear to do anything. But we know that nature doesn't do anything by accident. There's not anything that doesn't have a purpose and a place. So, and that's another thing that I focused a lot with them and that they taught me, is activating this DNA, because we have all of these gifts and unlimited potential within us. And yeah, we're just very powerful. And it's weird, because then like magical, wonderful things just begin happening around you. It really is quite remarkable. So yeah, we're very powerful. We've been kind of suppressed in our capabilities and our abilities and in what we're capable of. So,
And they don't want anything in return. They're just very altruistic.
I believe that this will also benefit them in a way, but it feels like a lot of them have kind of taken us under their wing to help guide us. They don't want us to destroy the planet. And raising the consciousness here, it is said that will help the rest of the galaxy and the rest of the universe.
Now, there's a theory that says that we are actually the whole cosmic astronaut theory, right? Where we were actually implanted, we were dropped off here, and that these UFOs are watching over us because they're our ancestors. There is all this talk about the pyramids being built by aliens and things like that. Now, a lot of this stuff has either been disproved or there's real big questions around, but there are cave drawings that are of questionable origin that look certainly like they would be UFOs or some sort of ETs or some things like that. There's also a school of thought that says that we are actually reincarnated beings from other planets. Do you ascribe to any one of these theories, or do you think they're all correct, or are we all just all a bunch of hooey?
I actually agree with both of those. I do believe that we were created long ago. These ETs had something to do with it, and they've been here for a long time. They were here guiding us. If you look back in like ancient Egypt, some of the gods, I assume, were actually just extraterrestrials, and that's what all the myths are about. And the pyramids, they've shown me the pyramids a lot during meditation too. And I've seen a lot of visions of the pyramids. So they're very, very important. And I think they will come online again as we progress and we're able to, advance our technology. And after about 6 months of interacting with these UFOs and learning about them, and as I began meditating and communicating with them more closely, they taught me that, yes, we are also reincarnated. And so they've been looking over us, watching out for us, and they're trying to help us remember who we actually are. I began having visions of past lives on other star systems. And if you look into it, it's actually a very common thing, and it's growing.
We've actually heard through past guests that Karen actually comes very specifically from a specific star region. Remember what star system is that?
Polaris.
Polaris. Yes. Have you heard about people from Polaris before? They had the same exact reaction actually than you just did. For those who are only listening and not watching, Lily just went, ooh, like this is something special. Care to explain why that's so special?
Well, I have heard of beings from Polaris before. I have not actually dived into those beings yet. I don't recollect seeing them, but that's amazing. And I do know that there are beings for sure from Polaris.
Now, you also offer star origin readings, right? You help people to identify where they come from and where they're supposed to be going and things like that. How many different star systems could someone possibly have come from?
So I actually have 4, I believe. And whenever I do readings, often one or 2 pop up, but there are many of us who have had, multiple lives in different star systems. But some of the big ones are Arcturus, these Arcturian beings, and they have like a bluish gray skin. They look a little less human. They've got the big almond eyes and tall, very technologically advanced. Pleiades. The Pleiadians are another big one, and they're the ones that usually have blonde hair, fair skin. That one's very, very popular. I believe that they are the closest link to us. They're like our older brothers and sisters. Lyra, the Lyrans, and people from Orion. And Sirius Star is also a very common one.
We've been looking for life out there forever, and we've not found a single shred of evidence of life beyond the stars. So why haven't and I know what you're going to say, first and foremost, I know what you're going to say, but why haven't our scientists discovered these beings out in space? Is that because they're hiding from us?
I think that, they're very intentional about who sees them. Like I said, they would just pop in and out and be there 1 second, not there 1 second. So I think they are kind of in hiding until we get ready. But I do believe that they have found proof of these, and they've engaged, like the government. I believe that they have engaged with these beings. They just didn't want it to come out yet, because that would change everything. Our free energy, the technology, it would change the whole world. So
you don't
Plus
think it's
mass hysteria.
Well, I was just going to say, you don't think it'd be panic or mass hysteria, but rather it's a selfish, self-serving reason for not disclosing these things, because our planet would be saved from greenhouse gases. We'd have free and clear energy. We probably wouldn't have the pharmaceutical industry the way it is now. Things like that. That's your thought. That's why they haven't.
I also believe, yes, the mass hysteria is a big part of it too. A lot of people would probably think the world is ending, but that's why I'm here and why I'm sharing this message and sharing, the positive things I've experienced and helping to educate people on it. People like us are helping to open people's minds, and so they're not afraid of it. So it's definitely like a big combination of both.
And honestly, after this conversation, I feel better. I had heard kind of inklings of the, wanting to teach us something, but, it's something I read a long time ago. I don't even remember where I read it, but talking to you, I'm like, maybe that's true.
So that's
way better than the movies.
Yeah. So then where do the stories you get about people who get probed and implanted and things like that? We've had people who actually have removed implants from people on the show before, and they've told us about it. Why are they implanting us? Why are they probing us?
I believe there are a couple different agendas out there. with
Ah.
these extraterrestrials.
So you think it's the bad ones that are doing this stuff?
Yeah, or possibly. So I believe that there are positive ones and negative ones who may abduct us and do kind of tests on us. The benevolent ones would be to make sure that we are, doing okay, kind of just to keep track of our progress. It does sound very intrusive, but if you think about it from, a wider perspective, I understand, I get it. And I do believe that there are also, and I've heard horror stories, there are negative ones doing, scientific experiments using our genetics. And I believe that that will become less and less and less. And the benevolent ones, not to sound like kind of like a Star Wars thing, but the benevolent ones are, getting rid of that. And so yeah, that will become less and less.
I like that.
Yeah.
You
So
can go with that Star Wars theme. That's fine.
so we have like guardians, like benevolent guardians that are looking out for us and helping us clear the path from these not so benevolent people.
And I can understand, kind of like you said, like when we have animals that are becoming endangered and you tag them to make sure that they're doing okay and you can follow them. I mean, maybe that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we do the same thing with animals. Unfortunately, it sounds a little messed up, but
All right. So if someone wants to do a star origin reading from you, what does that entail?
So for my star origins readings, what I do is I'll get a few key questions from them if there's anything that they really want to know about besides their star origins, if they want to know more about their purpose or, what they're supposed to be doing, or if they have trauma from past lives. So I take a few key questions and I do an hour-long meditation before the call and I go deep into meditation.
With them or just on your own?
No, on my own.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's a
No,
long time.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I do it beforehand. And I'll go in with the intention of finding their star origins and any information that will help them. Sometimes I will actually see some of their star family, and I basically try to make contact with them or connect with them. And then whatever information I get, whatever will help them most, we get on a 45-minute to an hour-long call, and I, relay all of the messages that I received.
You had mentioned something a little bit earlier in the conversation that struck me, and I wanted to come back and ask you about it. I think this seems like the right time to do that. You've said that you have experienced past lives in other star systems. Any clue on what that was like? I mean, did you go to work? Did you have kids? Was it just like ours now?
Yeah, I think a lot of these aliens or extraterrestrials, they're very much just people, just on a different star system. So yeah, kind of like a normal daily life, but I've seen flashes of images of different beings that I have been, and the more in-depth past life, it's come up with trauma that has affected me and is still kind of like deep-seated so that I became aware of it and then could work through it and let it go. And there was one life in Lyra where the planet was attacked, and so I kind of relived that and watched it happen, and it sucked.
I would say so.
Yeah, but and it's kind of then it helped me. Then I began to understand more, and I realized, okay, that's why I had these trust issues, or these different things. It's kind of like a deep-seated thing.
And this is kind of going back to when you were making contact and starting to communicate. So is it a feeling that you get? Because I would imagine there's a language barrier. I mean, how, as far as the communicating, how did that work?
Yeah, so it's really kind of a telepathic, intuitive conversation. So a lot of time whenever I receive information or messages from them, it's almost like just a quick download of information. Like I just get a full sentence and it's not necessarily a language. It's more of a feeling.
And
yeah.
How do you know that that's not you? How do you know that that's them?
You just know, but
Tell.
Yeah, you just know, but you can also, your intuition begins developing.
Mm-hmm.
And so as that, you have more discernment for what's going on in, just in your mind and what's coming from outside. Also a strong feeling of love whenever I would connect with them and receive messages from them. Like my heart would just feel so full. It's really quite remarkable. So that could be a sign that they are connecting with you too, if you just suddenly feel this love and just feel bliss. And then visions through visuals. So
Okay, yeah. And I guess you wouldn't know the stuff beforehand that all of a sudden you know when they download it to you or however they transmit it to you.
right, exactly. And some of the information that I've received, I could have never made up. Like I could have never made up and would have never thought of. And then, doing a little bit of digging afterwards, other people have experienced it or I find more information on it. I tested it out a lot to make sure that,
Yeah.
am I just,
Am I going crazy?
Yeah.
Did you ever wonder that? Because I think that's what I would have first thought, what is going on in my head?
Yeah, especially when my psychic gifts began developing and I was getting a lot of information at once. Yeah, I definitely had to pinch myself and have to kind of chill out. Yeah.
Are these star beings what people consider guardian angels, spirits, that kind of thing?
So I believe in what I found is, we have star beings that are here right now, star families. I like to call them star fam. Like we each have a star family, especially if you feel called to this, you have a star family who, and that goes in with your star origins. And then also you can connect with them spiritually. And we do have, spiritual guides that we can connect with on a deeper level that are help guiding and, protecting us. And I've also seen angels. So a little bit similar to angels, but not quite. As I began meditating, I began seeing all of these things began happening, and I saw angels, and I saw this and that, and all of these other things. So all of that is very, very real, and that surprised me, honestly.
So I think I'm obligated by law to ask this question, and I mean absolutely no offense to this because I'm really enthralled about all this. But any history of head injuries in your past or anything like that? I mean, kind of ask the question, right? Okay. All right. I mean,
Will.
people are going to ask, right? Did she hit her head? Is she taking drugs? I mean, there's all these.
Well, that's true.
All these
the
people,
drug thing, maybe. I can see that. Yeah.
Right. Because I've seen all kinds of stuff while tripping, so you just never know.
Yeah. No. This was definitely this is sober. This is happening,
Sobering, right? Sober and sobering.
Yeah, exactly. And I encourage anybody to give it a shot, try and meditate on it and see what happens. You could, I'm teaching people how to initiate and connect with them, their star families and just these star beings. They have a lot to teach us. So I encourage anybody just to try it. You can, if you want to do a CE5, which is human initiated contact with UFOs, go outside. Spend 10 minutes looking up at the sky and, kind of just set that intention. Or if you want to learn more about this for yourself and, get a better idea of where you've come from and any questions that you have, if you meditate, the answers will come to you.
You do CE5 workshops and things like that people can reach out to and experience with you, with your help.
It's human initiated contact with UFOs. So that'd be like, instead of connecting with them on, like a through meditation spiritual level, it's where you go outside and stargaze and invite a UFO and they'll appear.
And is your track record for those kinds of things pretty good? Have you brought other people into somewhere and have been visited by them?
Yes, I was doing weekly live streams where I would stream the night sky with the night vision camera, and we'd get together as a group and set the intention. We'd kind of do maybe a little bit of meditation, and we've had some visitors.
Wow.
That would be cool.
I am joining your wait list right now.
Now that we know they're nice.
Well, that was my next question. Nothing to fear, right? You're sure? You can assure us there's nothing to fear.
That the good ones are going to come and not the bad ones?
Yeah, and if you just set that intention, I am only connecting with positive beings, then that's what you're going to get. And the universe also kind of projects what you are, sending out, projects it back to you. So if you focus on the feeling of love and positivity, and that's what you send out that invitation, that's what you're going to get right back. But if you do it whenever you're super afraid, I mean, don't do that, because something, can come right back.
Yeah, I better take my name off that class wait list then.
No. They're very all of the encounters that I've had, very positive, very transformative, just beautiful experiences. So there's nothing to fear. Just, set that intention, positivity, and love.
Well, if someone wanted to reach out to you to talk more about UFOs and CE5s and star origin readings and things like that, what's the best way for someone to do that?
You can reach out to me on social media or through email. My email is lilynova.in.space@gmail.com. My Instagram handle is the same, lilynova.inspace. And I also do YouTube and share different resources on there, different meditations and information on CE5 and stuff like that.
And can people see some of the recordings that you've made? Do you have those on YouTube or on your social media?
So I'm about to actually do a kind of a collage of all the top, CE5 footage. So that's coming very soon. I do have some on my Instagram and I have a lot on TikTok. And my name on there is lilynova.in.space, same as Instagram.
We're going to add links to all of those things directly into our show notes. So if you're interested in reaching out to Lily, all you need to do is go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to her episode page, and you'll find all of those direct links laid out there for you. So it's just easy. All you got to do is click. Lily, this has been absolutely fascinating. I can't thank you enough for coming on the show and sharing of your expertise with us.
Thank you. It has been awesome. And I'm glad that you guys are a little less, spooked out by it and hopefully excited.
Less spooked out. See, I want to make some friends with the good ones so I can have some backup if the bad ones come. Is that possible? Can we arrange that?
You most definitely can.
All right. Well, thanks again, Lily. Really appreciate you being here with us.
All right. Take care, guys.
You too.
Well, that was super interesting, Karen.
Super interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to getting on this wait list. I think I'm going to do it.
Oh, I want to check out her social media.
Yeah, no, for sure. And thank you also for coming along on this journey of discovery. We'd love to continue our conversation with you on our website or on Facebook and Instagram under @SkepticMetaphysician or skepticmetaphysician.com. And if you're listening to this on the radio and missed anything, not to worry, all of our shows, including this one, can be found there as well. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have. That's all for now. We'll see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysicians. Until then, take care.